Hello and welcome to short highlights of the opening road stage, stage 1 of the Santos Tour Down Under, after yesterday's prologue, which was won by the Italian Alberto Bettiol. This was the course for the most northerly of the 5 stages, the second longest stage of this year's Santos Tour Down Under. It started with one big loop taking in the bigger towns on this edge of Tanunda, and then 4 laps of a 27-kilometre loop in Tanunda, taking us back through the finish and also taking in the climb of Mengler's Hill each lap, which was to provide a useful launch pad, but also an opportunity to sort out our King of the Mountains classification for the first time. 139 riders rolled out at just after 11:30, and there were one or two keen to get going. Most keen of those was Nons Peters, the Frenchman for AG Desert Citroën, who was out there by himself, alone, leaving the likes of Michael Matthews and Ethan Hayter to sprint out sprint points and bonus seconds behind them. Luke Platt was busy all day, the Ineos Grenadier, picking up points in the King of the Mountains competition. And we saw Patrick Bevan, unfortunately, having to retire first time through the line, the Kiwi, who could have been a big threat for the overall this week, but sustained crashes at the weekend in the Criterium that opened this festival of cycling just prior to the Santos Tour Down Under getting started. The bunch was back together. Nons Peters was reeled in, and it was around about half distance where we started to see more and more of these kind of crashes. Each time 4 or 5 riders going down, lots of nervous riders, a fair bit of wind out there and some gravelly edges. This was the moment that Nons Peters was reeled back in, and wouldn't you know it, it'd be the touch paper being lit for more crashes and more action, it has to be said too. This was the second of our sprint points though. Corbin Strong was the strongest of Michael Matthews, and Alberto Bettiol also trying to have a go in between Matthews and Ethan Hayter there. So Bettiol not just relying on consistency, but also trying to pick up bonus seconds, just missing out on that occasion. This was the second and final of our King of the Mountains points. Luke Platt thought he had it, but Alessandro Covi, now riding for UAE Team Emirates, coming up on the outside of him and actually taking maximum points there on top of Mengler's Hill quite comfortably. So showing his intent, Covi, and obviously in very good form. This was a nasty crash that happened just off to one side of the road there, involving a number of the Jumbo-Visma riders as well. Robert Hessink hit his head pretty hard. We haven't yet heard reports of his health after the stage. I do hope he's okay. A pretty nasty looking crash though, and a number of them. This was the very fast descent off the back of Mengler's Hill to spill the riders back into the finish in Tanunda. Soudal Quickstep did quite a lot of work coming into the finish, and really it was just upping the pace at the front end. I have to warn you, there was yet another crash in the finishing straight. You're just about to see it happen, and it was a nasty one. The main group of sprinters were just in front of us, and Jasser Sütterlin and his teammates had started the long drive for home for Phil Bauhaus, the German sprinter for Bahrain Victorious. Michael Matthews was also being led out and looking over his shoulder to see where the likes of Bauhaus were. Bauhaus was coming quite late. Matthews had already opened up by this point, and Caleb Ewan coming the long way around the outside. You can see him there in the colours of the Australian national team closing up on the outside, but Bauhaus had got into his stride. A long drawn out sprint for the big German, who just hung on ahead of Caleb Ewan and Michael Matthews. And you can see from that shot the amount of speed that Caleb Ewan was coming with at the finish as well. It was a big close dip. But the big German, Phil Bauhaus, getting his 20th pro win on the line and taking the opening road stage of the Santos Tour Down Under. He and his team were delighted. Pello Bilbao giving a big congratulation at the finish. They've done a lot of work for him today, and it paid off come the finish, but boy was it a close one. You can see just how close it was in the overhead shot here. Great ride by Paul Penouet, the young Frenchman there, sprinting in the colours of Groupama FDG right in the middle, showing great talent. And Alessandro Covi, having taken mountains points, maximum mountains points on Mengler's Hill, then getting involved in the bunch sprint there in the black and white of UAE Team Emirates. The Italian happy to battle on all fronts. There was the stage result. Phil Bauhaus ahead of Caleb Ewan and Michael Matthews, the two Aussie sprinters in second and third, Covi in fourth, and that talented 21-year-old Frenchman Penouet in fifth there. Bauhaus on the podium as our stage winner. He gets a Hoppy the Kangaroo, the official race mascot for the Santos Tour Down Under. And that is the classification for the Oka Leaders jersey. Alberto Bettiol hangs on by 6 seconds from Michael Matthews, who's moved up 8 places today. Magnus Sheffield in third, the young American, crashing today quite heavily, and we'll wait to see his condition going into tomorrow's stage. Sheffield wasn't able to pick up his jersey on the podium, but we do wish him well for tomorrow. Do join us tomorrow. Don't forget you can catch live or on-demand coverage of each stage on GCN Plus and Eurosport, although some territory restrictions do apply. Join us for stage 2 of the Santos Tour Down Under tomorrow.